By participating in a role play, teachers learn how to prevent bullying at classrooms. I felt very lonely, though I knew it was just a role play. I felt confined and enclosed. That is exactly how the kids feel when they are bullied. I hope teachers will become able to share their feelings with the kids. The trainer is Mr. Weide, an expert on bullying issues. Mr. Weide established a company to conduct research on bullying. The company offers training programs for teachers and parents. Also, it publishes anti-bullying textbooks to be used in classrooms. In the Netherlands, there are approximately 6,500 elementary schools, of which close to 2,000 schools have adopted Mr. Weide's program. All elementary schools in the country are required to have anti-bullying measures in place. But the specifics of the measures are left to each school. This is an anti-bullying program of one of the schools which has adopted Mr. Weide's training program. There is a detailed description of ways to prevent and handle one-off and repeated bullying. This is a class on preventing bullying. It is a game to make participants feel closer to each other. They learn how to build trust with each other through interaction. When kids cannot communicate with others naturally, they start resorting to violence. This school conducts similar classes every week. This is the principle of the school. The drop in the number of fights at school was so astonishing, even for the parents. Mr. Weide believes in the importance of children acquiring the ability to resolve the problem of bullying themselves. Role play is for the teachers to fully appreciate the act of bullying and to be able to show better solutions to the kids. The training is done repeatedly. It's my chair. You think this is your chair? It's my chair. Go look for other chairs. This is a role play. Now, what can be done under this situation? It's my chair. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. You never stop, do you? Do as you please. The bullies find pleasure when they see the victim is in tears or hurt. Mr. Weide teaches ignoring the bully and don't take notice the best solution. People often laugh at the scene of bullying. Did you laugh? Whom were you laughing at? Act of laughing by an overlooker pleases the bullies. It is an unconscious participation in the bullying by those around, says Mr. Weide. Those bullied may not be good at making friends. Mr. Weide teaches teachers how to give necessary instructions to such kids. One-on-one conversation. Each speaks about himself or herself as honestly as possible. Such classwork is repeated so that children can learn how to build trust with each other. In de hoop dat jij dan gaat reageren, want dan heb ik mijn baan weer. Teachers have to be confident. They need to earn the trust of the students by mingling with them and being able to see things from the children's perspectives. While children can be taught, teachers' authority is called for when bullying exceeds a certain limit. When bullying gets out of children's hand, it is critical for kids to have a teacher to turn to, a teacher they trust he or she will come and rescue them. So important is the trust between the teachers and the kids. Many schools in the Netherlands have adopted the Kanjertraining program. Kanje in Dutch means those that are cool. And building a human relationship even with the bullies is what is being taught in the program. Now, Professor de Castro is now joining us. Professor Orobio de Castro from Utrecht University is now participating in our debate. Professor de Castro, denying the existing of bullying is not something that should be taught. That should not be taught. As a part of training educational program, bullying should be prevented as a part of training. What is the necessity of that?
I think much of bullying prevention has focused on discussing how much there is being bullied and whether bullying exists or not, and making particular children the bully, the bad kid. Whereas what we see in the movie clip also is that bullying is not done by one person, but it's reinforced by the rest of the class who are laughing about it or are giggling or are doing nothing against it. And I think it's essential, and I think effective programs show that it's essential to take the whole classroom. And if you take away the reinforcement of the bullying by the rest of the classroom, then the bully tends to stop.
Mr. Green, at your school, anti-bullying programs, have you had any of these programs at your school?
We've had different people come in with different organizations and do plays in front of other students, or they would come in and talk about their own case of bullying. We've had different people who were from the police or different people who have had their own bullying circumstances come in and kind of talk to the students and get the same point across just by different people, so that way more people get to understand the point of bullying.
Dr. Bradshaw, in the United States, I know that there are anti-bullying programs in the United States as well, we gather. But in the video reproduction of bullying by way of role play, I mean, do you think it is an extreme? Do you think role play could be effective?
In terms of the available research on bullying prevention programs, we know that there are a couple of core features that need to be covered. One is spending time in the class talking with students and giving them direct instruction, because the classroom context is so important, as was mentioned by one of the previous speakers, but also providing direct training to teachers and other staff about how to intervene when they see bullying. And one way to do that training is to use role play, but you also need to provide a direct script and feedback to teachers about what they can use and have opportunities for them to practice those activities as a way of intervening and building their confidence about how to actually pull that off. Involving youth, as we also hear from Mr. Green, and is critical to this element, and giving staff feedback about where bullying is happening in the school. That is often done through the collection of data, like surveys that are anonymous that students can complete. So the data is a critical element, as is the connection with the community and family. Parents need to be important partners on this and be able to support tolerance, and also to be able to coach their kids on what to do when they're involved in bullying, and encourage their children not to use aggression to handle problems.
Now, Mr. Park, in South Korea, do you have anti-bullying program in South Korea?
Yes,
in South Korea as well, we have role-playing. I mean, we have many cases of using role-playing. For example, theatrical arts and musicals are used so that people can experience the bullying. I mean, the program is related to violence, musicals, dramas, sports activities, cultural and art activities are used as a means to facilitate communication so that people people can understand each other. Those are the programs that are now available in South Korea. In classrooms, they have debates, discussions, so that they can build a sense of community. This is a participatory program so that this program can facilitate resolving bullying at schools. Mr. Epling, you're raising your hand. Mr. Epling, anti-bullying programs, what is your evaluation of those programs?
Well, I think a lot of programs work, and there's a lot of different programs, and I think what has to happen is the school has to find the right program that works for them, and that it also has to be sustainable. A school shouldn't start a program if they're just going to have speakers come in and not do anything throughout the course of the year, and that's why we have to have the students engaged and have student programs, and that's one of the biggest things when I talk to a school. I want to make sure that I engage the students in the change process, so it has to be across the board. And the best programs are those that the teachers can get their hands on and become involved in and be a part of. So I think all of these things work. We have to find the right one that works for your school environment.
Professor Ogi, I have this question for you. In other parts of the world, there are many cases of using anti-bullying programs, but we do not hear much about anti-bullying programs in Japan. I mean, the government is trying to administrate the schools, so they ask the schools to conduct surveys and questionnaires, role-playing and dramas. I mean, these creative ideas are less found in Japan. I mean, there are clinical psychologists and there are experts that have developed these programs, but these programs have not become pervasive in Japan because there is no latitude on the part of the schools to introduce these innovative approaches because they are following the instructions of the boards of education. So there is not much room for innovation and creativity in the schools. So there is no grassroots, bottom-up kind of initiatives, and that is why it has always been top-down. I mean, conducting questionnaires and so forth. So you have to give initiatives to the students. So we have to activate engagement of the students. That is not successful in Japan. Teachers at junior high schools and high schools are fully aware of their kids. Therefore, the teachers have the right to need to have the say. So there has been only a top-down approach in Japan because they are very scary that they will get negative evaluation. There is not much latitude on the ground amongst the teachers, and the boards of education should support the teachers so that the teachers can exercise the freedom and flexibility to suit the needs of the classroom. Lack of latitude, lack of freedom. In the case of this Dutch program, Kanjertraining, is very unique in that the private sector company is running the program. So the program was developed by the private sector company, and this program has been adopted by many schools in the Netherlands. Professor de Castro, at Dutch schools, amongst all the programs that are available, the schools have chosen different programs. Is that the case?
Yes, that's true. And it's in the Netherlands, schools are rather free to choose which program they like to use. And there are attempts being made to make the information for schools more accessible about the evidence base for different programs so that they can actually choose the most effective program, which is, of course, very important because, like was said before, schools need to choose an effective program that really has demonstrated effectiveness scientifically, but also a program that's sustainable for them, because their teachers like it and can manage to do it, and because parents see the benefits of it. So it really has to be a choice for an effective program that then becomes owned by the school, so to speak, so that they feel engaged in it.
The schools have to have an option. The schools have the freedom to choose. In the case of the Netherlands, once you have 200 students, you can build a school. There is a freedom to establish a school. So I think it is only natural that you have such programs in the Netherlands. This is something that you can learn as a way to reduce the number of bullying in Japan. Now, the Kanjertraining in the Netherlands, this program doesn't involve just schools. Staying in northeastern part of the Netherlands with population of 17,000, bullying amongst kids has become a problem in the western district where there are many immigrants and high rate of unemployment. A proposal was made to the city, led by this elementary school, that anti-bullying measures should be introduced not only at schools but in the whole community. The principal says children have their lives outside of their schools as well, so we need measures to combat bullying in the entire community where children live, sleep, and play. Security personnel of the city on the patrol. She has gone through anti-bullying training. Hi there. Do you live in this neighborhood? Yes, right there. The security personnel patrol places where children play to check if there's bullying or fights. From the time children are born until they grow into adults who can take active part in the society, I want to ensure that their environment is safe and pleasant. This is a public facility for children. Volunteer staff members at the facility have also gone through anti-bullying training programs by the city. The training, they say, has changed the way they interact with children. In the past, I was just upset when there was a problem. I didn't know what to do. I just used to yell at children, "Stop doing that, stop doing this." After I went through the program, I'm more self-possessed. The city of Steenwijk is expanding the initiative to other areas in the city. To be successful, it is essential to get the support of many people in the community. It is an initiative to change the environment for the children and guide their behavior. I think the key to eliminating bullying is to strengthen the network in the community, that is to say, getting the adults actively engaged with the kids. So, Professor de Castro, by letting the anti-bullying measures skin into throughout the community, why is it necessary?
I think it's important what you see here is this example of empowerment, that people really feel why such a program is necessary and that they can act together in their neighborhood to reduce or prevent bullying and also other problems for children. If you would just have laws where you would threaten people that they would be punished or have regulations taken against them if they wouldn't stop bullying, you just get this whole circuit of everybody trying to avoid being responsible and being punished, and nothing will happen, and the problem will be very hard to handle. But if you actually engage people in a program and they understand why the program is there, then you see that it can grow even outside the school towards parents and towards the neighborhood, where people together feel and can teach children that you can be a responsible part of a community and that you can contribute to the community, and that actually rarely anybody, almost nobody, likes bullying, even the bullies themselves, but that it's a system where bullying is giggled about, where people feel scared, where people are afraid of being bullied themselves, where people start bullying. And if you take away that fear because you give people a sense of belonging to a community, then that helps a lot.
Community-based approach so that everyone in the community will feel responsible. I mean, Professor de Castro made a very good point, I think. We have a lot of discussion, but before we end, I have this question to all of you participating from abroad. Any message to the victims of the bullying, to the bullies, and who have turned a blind eye to the act of bullying? What are the messages to all these stakeholders? Dr. Bradshaw, first of all, to you.
Well, I think it's really important to be covering this topic around bullying, but it also should be couched in a broader understanding of how important it is to promote positive social emotional development across a range of skills. We want to have programming in place to be able to help students feel safe and secure in school settings and non-school settings like the community, and be able to promote a broad range of skills. So that way, when they're faced with bullying, they have other options and ways to cope. And also when they are in a conflict or they feel that they need to resort to to bullying, that they can identify other adults that they can go to or other strategies that they can use. So we could think about this issue of bullying as contextualized within a broader set of goals and strategies that we want to address around social emotional learning and safety for children.
Mr. Epling, any message?
I think we've opened the door on the topic of bullying from the classroom to the boardroom, really, because it spans all age generations. We see that more with some of the research coming out, because those bullies, if we don't help them, they'll end up in our penal systems, they'll end up adult bullies. So any program really has to help both the victim and the bully in all situations so we can get them to understand. I think in a community-wide aspect, everyone knows kind of what the playing field is, and we're able to kind of reach out. When you have law enforcement who understand what the school is trying to do, they're better able to help. When you have the local hospital or mental health that is able to help the school, it brings the community together. And most of all, I firmly believe it all comes down to education, engagement, and empowerment. And that empowerment comes from our students. So I think all of those that are victims or are bullies in school, reach out to someone else around you within your school and within your community. Ask for help, and I'm sure you will receive it.
Mr. Park, any final thoughts? The bullies and the bullied are the children of ours, and therefore both of them should be protected. The community is responsible. With the schools at the center, in the case of South Korea, we have volunteer groups of the youth, the leaders, youth leaders, and the community members have to work together so that we can prevent violence both inside and outside the school. We need to eliminate the violent culture. Everybody has to join so that we can make the future of the kids brighter. And that, I think, is how our children will become happier. Mr. Green, any final thoughts?
I think that it's important that students feel that they have someone to talk to or to go tell that they're being bullied. I also think that it's important that it's not just one group of people who's trying to do something to end bullying. I think it takes a whole community to get together and have a common mission to try and end bullying. And as long as everyone's working together, I think it'll work well.
Professor De Castro, any final message from you?
Well, I think it's very, very good to see that there are so many initiatives taken to do something against bullying. And I think one thing that we can learn from this program is that it would be very good to also really research very well what the effects of all these initiatives are, so that we can learn from each other and that we can avoid that everybody's inventing things again that we already know. So it would be very nice to when there are good initiatives, also to complement them with research right away so that we can learn more from each other.
And last but not least, Professor Ogi. Well, I was listening into this global debate, and we in Japan have made efforts, and we have had a group-oriented culture with many elements of competition. We have the winners and the losers in our society, and this same structure we have found in the school system as well. But we need to learn lessons from the abroad, and I think we need to strive towards inclusive society. We need to recognize the differences in each other, and we need to respect the differences in each other, and we need to have a good patchwork of different people in the classroom, not only in the classroom, but in the community and the corporate organizations as well. It's a microcosm of adult society, what the children is going through. So you cannot just teach the children to eliminate bullying. We also find bullying in adult society as well. So we need to come up with a vision, a national vision even, so that we can build an inclusive society with together. A mature society, that is to say, yes, a mature civil society. I mean, we have seen many